Welcome to the show. It's time to hang up a new calendar and turn over a new leaf, which is why we're going to have one last look back over the cinematic highlights of 2013 in today's special all-movie show. From Sandra Bullock getting lost in space to the passionate winning film at this year's Cannes, it's been a blockbuster year in the movies. And joining me in the studio is our cinema critic, Lisa Nesselson, who's sat through, I'd guess, at least 1,000 hours of films this year. Easy. Right, Lisa? Easily. Very scientific estimation. We've only got 12 minutes to talk about all of these wonderful things that happened this year. Let's start with what's many people's film of the year, Gravity.
Gravity is a just about perfect melding of emotional storytelling and technical expertise. It gives us the chance to feel like we are, in fact, marooned in outer space with Sandra Bullock, even though we know perfectly well she's a real person who's walking around on Earth just like we are at this very moment. During that 90 minutes, we believe we are stuck where she is and that she has only self-reliance to get her through. And we have the sensation of being in space, but without the nauseousness that I imagine would come with that actual experience. It's a real tour de force, and it would not have been technically possible very recently. So hats off to them. It's a great experience.
And quite an unusual combination of technology and emotions. Often you get one or the other, don't you? For those of you who haven't seen it, take a little look.
Some human beings who are lost, one who wants to be there and the other one who doesn't want to be there, and what's the story of life? What makes you get up in the morning? What makes people get up when they have nothing else to live for, you know? And that could have been done in Arkansas, that could have been done, you know, here in New York City or in space, and Alfonso loved the analogy of literally being lost in space, because up there you're truly alone.
Because there is no sound in space, the sound effects are done by music, which makes it infinitely more elegant. It makes it more of a, it's just like something I'd never seen before.
Intense stuff indeed from director Alfonso Cuarón. Now, my personal cinematic highlight of the year has to be the Cannes Film Festival. I think I've just about recovered from this intense film bonanza, Lisa. This year's winning Palme d'Or choice was a popular choice, La Vie d'Adèle, or Blue is the Warmest Colour in its English title. Where did this film go so right?
It's, well, a lot of people will say, oh my God, it's 3 hours long, but it's 3 hours that goes like that. And after all, it is bearing witness to a lengthy relationship between two young women. When they are happy, we are happy. We get to know them over the course of the film, and when things start falling apart, we're very sad for them. A great deal was made out of the rather explicit sex scenes. I think they're absolutely crucial. I think they're well done. And I think the so-called controversy around the film is so unfortunate, because it's entirely about what it goes into making a movie, not the movie itself.
That's right. The actresses, after the film had won at Cannes, criticising the director for various reasons, weren't they? But, as Lisa said, it has been a really big hit here in France on its release. And inevitably, Lisa, I think the fact this was a same-sex love story definitely did get people talking. It's interesting to note that the other big film that took on a homosexual relationship as its subject at Cannes was an American film, Behind the Candelabra, the Liberace movie. Let's take a little look at that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star of the show, Mr. Showmanship, Liberace.
Wow. This is my friend Scott Thorson, his first time in Las Vegas.
You were incredible out there.
Well, this must be fate. I have a great idea. Why don't you come work for me?
As what?
I need a companion, a bodyguard, someone I can talk to. Say yes, Scott.
There we go, some knockout performances from Michael Douglas and Matt Damon. Glitz and sparkle as much as you want. But I mentioned this is an American film, and the money men over in the United States had a very different reaction to this film, didn't they, from the people behind La Vie d'Adèle? Because of the homosexual relationship.
Right. Steven Soderbergh, who has made literally hundreds of millions of dollars for studios, this phenomenal cast, a story about somebody that anyone over a certain age vividly remembers from television, and he couldn't raise a few paltry $1 million to make the film. So the cable television station HBO stepped in. In the United States, people could only see it on TV. Thank goodness in the rest of the world it was released in cinemas. And Soderbergh at this point in his career is such a master. There isn't a single boring or unnecessary frame in this movie. It's all extraordinarily good.
And do you think that Soderbergh's made his point? Do you think there's a chance that another film that takes on a similar subject might actually get the funding next time around?
Well, you know, these things go in the kind of cycles where people go, the movie in space did really well, so let's make 15 movies in space. That must be what people want. Of course, those tend to be non-repeatable events that you know, sort of came
like
in.
Halley's Comet. They only come around
Precisely,
very
every
rarely.
70 whatever years. I hope it'll open things up. I think it's purely coincidental, but an awful lot of the best movies of this year, this past year, do have homosexual themes.
Okay, we'll move on from some of the films that did well at the box office to some that didn't do so well. Now, according to Forbes, the WikiLeaks movie, The Fifth Estate, is the biggest financial flop of the year. It made back just over 20% of its production budget so far. There are still some more box office openings coming up, aren't there, Lisa? Why do you think people didn't go for this film? It had another great cast. It looks good director.
I'm going to go with the notion that maybe people were trying to be good citizens because whatever the merits of the film may be, they know that Julian Assange and the WikiLeaks team did not want this film to be made. In fact, the WikiLeaks people said, as WikiLeaks was never consulted about the DreamWorks Disney film on us, we've given our advice for free. It's bad. And Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Assange, approached Assange, or tried to approach Assange to get a feel for him in real life, and he got a letter saying, you know, this is just manipulative, and you should stay away from it.
Yeah, Julian Assange called it Hollywood propaganda, didn't he? Of course, a lot of people did like the film. Maybe we shouldn't listen too much to the statistics. Moving on, though, to some of the actresses of the year. Adele Exarchopoulos, who we mentioned in Blue Is The Warmest Colour. She's surely France's big breakthrough. On the other side of the Atlantic, this was the year of Jennifer Lawrence. Two very different actresses, Lisa. I'll talk about Jennifer Lawrence, if I may. She won the Best Actress Oscar. A bit of a controversial choice. Should she have won it?
You may have to physically restrain me as I go into this topic. Jennifer Lawrence is an extremely gifted, very appealing young actress.
She seems like a very nice woman as well.
And she does, from what we know of her. But she gave an extraordinary performance in a movie a few years ago called Winter's Bone. Mm-hmm. The performance she gave in Silver Linings Playbook is resoundingly adequate. There's nothing special about the movie or her performance. Other candidates for Best Actress were Emmanuel Riva in Amour, 86, extraordinary performance, and Helen Hunt in The Sessions. So if you believe that the Oscar is given for a specific performance in a specific film, there is absolutely no excuse for giving it to Jennifer Lawrence in that film. And they have just completely discredited themselves forever from here on in, the voting members of the Academy, by making that choice. Is she talented? Absolutely. Am I eager to see her in American Hustle, which she's getting great notices in? Absolutely, but that was a mistake.
That
was
Oscar for that performance, not your choice. Well, and perhaps an Oscar that you did agree with then. Daniel Day-Lewis, Method Man, for his lead role in Spielberg's Abraham Lincoln biopic. And again, it was a year when American movies seemed to look to history books for their inspiration. Once again, I mean, Lincoln, Argo, Django Unchained, The Butler. Was this a particularly historical year? That's how it felt to some of us in the culture team.
So you're referring to the American president who liberated the slaves using social media, Abraham Lincoln. Yes. You know, American films, going back to the beginning of motion pictures, have often delved into the stories of great men and historical settings and stuff that really happened. And that's just a great place to go for storytelling. After all, it was Hollywood that first told the story of Louis Pasteur. It wasn't the French. Somebody said, hey, this is a great story. Let's make a movie. He'll speak English. That's okay. Yes, we're always looking at our history, and that's a good occasion for people to write in-depth articles about how America has finally examining racism or what have you. But it's somebody like Spielberg has the power to tell the story of Abraham Lincoln. Something like The Butler, no one expected to please so many people, but very worthwhile films.
Okay, one of those historical films that I mentioned, Django Unchained, it caused a particular stir with its very sort of violent, sweary Tarantino take on slavery. My colleagues Eve Jackson and Louise Dupont spoke to the star Jamie Foxx and the director, and they said apparently it's not just historical, it's also a love story.
There ain't no grave can hold my body down.
What it is a love story of a person who lost his wife and is now trying to get to her, and whoever's in his way, he has to take care of.
Don't you?
They caught my wife and they sold her, but I don't know who to.
I've always wanted to do a movie that explored slavery in America. You know, considering that it's one of the defining aspects and original sins of America, the fact that, like, you know, so few movies have ever dealt with it is just a cowardice on America and Hollywood's part. And so it's about time to stop hiding.
Kill white folks and they pay you for it? What's not to like? I like the way you die, boy.
There we go, Tarantino back to his best, it would seem. Lisa, there's so much more we could talk about from 2013, but we're running out of time. So tell us, what can we look forward to in 2014?
There's so much to look forward to. There's not one but two Yves Saint Laurent biopics. There's Woody Allen's next movie, which takes place in France between the two world wars. But personally, I'm very, very curious to see Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac. With a title like that, I have no idea what it's about. It's 4 hours long, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, if we thought La Vie d'Adèle was long at 3 hours, Nymphomaniac is going to be a marathon effort, I think. But thanks very much for coming in to tell us about your 2013 highlights. Lisa Nesselson, our movie critic. We are going to leave you with a preview of that film, which promises to warm up the start of 2014, Nymphomaniac by Lars von Trier. I'm sure we'll still be talking about it on January 1st, 2015. In the meantime, remember, you can keep in touch with us on our social networks and follow me on Twitter at A Cat in Paris. Thanks very much for watching this show and have a very happy new year.
Wow. Perhaps the only difference between me and other people was that I've always demanded more from the sunset. More spectacular colours when the sun hit the horizon. That's perhaps my only sin.